can funnel on in here, no pun intended.
Right.
Sorry, I'm feeling a little cheesy today.
That's all right. I'm always feeling
Wow.
cheesy.
Where are the cats today? Will they be joining us?
No, I'm at the office, so you may see my dog though, because he's upstairs with Mama right now. But if she forgets to close the door, you'll just see him sort of come tromping down the stairs down there, and then he sits down and he sort of looks at me like, "Why aren't you petting me?
Right? What's
I'm
going on?
here."
I know my dog has started coming and just plopping herself like right over here. I've decided she likes to be on camera.
Right.
Um, well,
Like, that's
welcome
my sign. I
everybody.
paid for that sign. Scoot, 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 Yeah.
Hello, this is about me. Welcome everybody. Damon, Courtney, and I from BookFunnel are just chatting here as we welcome everybody into the webinar. Also, we are streaming into Facebook. So if you're on Facebook, welcome. Actually, it's not live on Facebook yet. So now if you're on Facebook, welcome. And this is being recorded. Of course, if you registered for this event and you are here, then you will receive a recording emailed out to you whenever we get that up, usually by the end of the day. It will also be on our YouTube channel. So should you ever forget to register for a webinar, should you lose the email with the link to the reminder, just head on over to youtube.com/write, publish, sell. Go ahead and hit subscribe so that you can find us easily. And we will always post our webinars there so that that's an easy place to go back and find them if you miss them. So we are so excited to have Damon back with BookFunnel. Damon has been a longtime supporter of the Women in Publishing Summit. We have been longtime users of BookFunnel. We use them for all of our launches. We use them for our authors' books. We have, and we haven't even tapped the surface of all the things that BookFunnel could be doing for us. So I'm really excited always to learn more and more on what we're doing. Also, the tool evolves and the things evolve and abilities change. So thank you, first of all, for your continued support of the organization and for all that you do to help authors do the most critical piece of selling our books, which is finding new readers and getting it in front of more people. There's nothing more important really when it comes to book marketing. So
Right.
welcome and thank you.
Thank you guys for having me. So I see everybody shouting in from the chat saying where they're from. I am from Houston, so we are currently melting. We have now had, I think we topped a record. We've had like 40 days over 100 degrees. Woo!
Oh my gosh.
Right.
That
Super
is
exciting. It's not actually a record any of us were looking to break, but here we are. So yes, I am Damon. I'm from BookFunnel. I want to go ahead and also from Houston. So if you have questions, please post them in the chat. I am extremely ADD, so I'm going to try really hard not to look at what's going on down there because my eye keeps going.
Q&A box. Use
Yes,
the Q&A box so we don't lose them in the chat, and I'll help you keep up with all of those. So don't worry about that.
Yes, and I will make sure that I leave time for questions at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen just so that you guys can see the slides that we're going to go through. So can everybody, Alexa, can you see?
Perfect.
Like okay, good.
Perfect.
Because sometimes everybody sees other stuff. Okay, so I'm Damon Courtney. I'm the BookFunnel guy, but really I am the creator of BookFunnel. And the talk that I'm doing today is called "Building Your BookFunnel with BookFunnel" because we love alliteration here at BookFunnel, and we're kind of cheesy. I don't know if you came in early, but Alexa and I were talking about being cheesy. And if you ever follow our blog or you read our emails, you'll know that we tend to be kind of cheesy. My wife and I run the company together, and we're kind of cheesy people anyway. So we're going to jump right into it and talk about what is a book funnel with a space. And a book funnel is really just a sales marketing term. It's a play on the original term, which was like a marketing funnel or a funnel. But the idea is simply that you're going to get a bunch of people in the top of the funnel, and then through actions that you're going to set up or some thing that you're going to do, you're going to get some of those people out of the bottom of the funnel and then get them into buying your books. As authors, that's what we're doing is trying to get people to buy our books. And so, we're going to talk more about like what that funnel is as we move through it. But what is a book funnel? Capital B, capital F with no spaces. And it's me. I am the creator of BookFunnel. We started about 8 years ago, and we have really sort of become the go-to tool for authors in indie publishing. We're also used by a lot of big publishers as well. That was a more recent development, but I used to say that, we deliver ebooks to anybody's devices outside of the store system, but we've actually added a lot of things since then. This is just a little quick list of things that we do. Ebooks, we now added audiobook delivery. We do, excuse me, digital direct sales fulfillment, Kickstarter and Patreon fulfillment. We do all kinds of stuff, and we're not really going to talk a lot about that stuff, but I wanted to kind of list some of those things off. This is not a sales pitch. BookFunnel, most of the authors that I talk to already have a BookFunnel account. The reason I do these talks is because so many of the authors that already use our service are not using it to its full potential, or don't even know what all the tools are that we have that exist. So specifically what we're going to be talking about here is, excuse me, building your marketing funnel. And like we just talked about. So why do you need a funnel? And it's because you need a plan, and no one else in the world is going to care about your books like you do. And we found that even at BookFunnel, as Julie, my wife, and I run the company, that no one ever cares as much as we do about our company, because it's ours, and your books are even more personal. There's something that I'm a self-published author myself. I write fantasy with capital F, with wizards and dragons and elves. And, I love my books. I love my characters. They're important to me. They're, in some cases, they're like real people to me. And so I am going to be the best one to put myself out there and encourage other people to read my stuff, right? If I love what I'm doing, then you're going to love it too. I can't think of a better example. So my wife and I just got back from the Taylor Swift concert in Los Angeles. And if you don't know Taylor Swift, then you've been under a rock somewhere. But even if you don't know her music, she is phenomenal at being who she is, and everyone loves her for it, right? She's kind of a goof, right? She's probably the biggest selling artist in the world right now, and yet during her concert, she's very self-effacing. She's kind of funny. She does little giggles and laughs, and like, she is just herself, right? But that is her brand, and that's who she is, and she's built that with her fans. And so she doesn't really have a funnel. She's just selling music. But what we're talking about here is that, what we're trying to do is we're trying to use our writing, and we're trying to use ourselves to get people into the top of the funnel so that we can guide them out through the bottom of the funnel and get them to buy your books. So how do we do that? With marketing. And everybody hates that word, but I will tell you that a great marketer with a mediocre book is going to outsell a great author with no marketing every single time. We've seen it time and time again. How many times have you read a book and thought, this book is not that great? Why is it so popular? Well, it's because they had really good marketing, and because, taste is subjective and other people like different books. And that's something to remember, is that not everyone is going to like your book. Your goal is to try to get your book in front of as many people as you can, because some percentage of the people that you get it in front of are going to love your books, and they are going to love you as an author. And so do you have to? Yes, you have to. Every author in today's world, whether you're traditionally published or self-published, if you're querying and you're going the trad pub route, you're still going to need to do this stuff, because the traditional publishing industry doesn't really do much of this anymore. Unless you get anointed and somehow end up on a huge book list, or you somehow blow out and become a big bestseller, your traditional publisher is not going to put any marketing dollars behind you. That's going to be on you. And if you're in this for the long haul, if you actually want to be a publishing author and you want to make a living at it, which I assume most of you do, that's why you're here, right? That's why you sign up for these things, because you actually want to do this. Most authors that I meet want to be full-time authors. And if you're going to do that, then you're going to need to build a funnel. You're going to need to build relationships with your readers. And so for authors, what is the best way to market? Is it free candy? No, it's not. We don't do free candy. Is it gorgeous men? Well, for some of you, it may be. It may very well be. But no, not specifically. With stories. And that's the greatest thing, is that the best marketing that you possibly have is your writing, which conveniently enough, you're writers. So that works out really well. And what I want you to remember is that marketing is a numbers game. And for a graphic, my wife made me this lovely little graphic that says exactly what that is. Over on the left, we have a few people going in, and we have a few people coming out. And over on the right, we have more people going in, we have more people coming out. So the more people that we get into the top of our funnel, the more people you're going to get out. It is never going to be 100%. 100% of the people who discover your book, even if they discover it through advertising, through Amazon, through your newsletter, however they find you, right? some people are actually absolutely going to love your books. Other people are going to go meh, and some people are going to hate your books. And for those people, they're not your people. So we're trying to get as many people in the top so that we can find those people who will be your people. And it doesn't have to cost a fortune. So we're going to talk about a plan of action. I'm not going to, I want to put this up on the screen so that you can see the bullet points that we're going to talk about, but I'm not going to talk about each one of them because we're actually going to go over it. But you can see up until about step 7, which is where you're going to get a BookFunnel account. And we have a great coupon that we're offering for the Women in Publishing Summit. Up until step 7, everything that you're doing is free. All of these things that you can do as an indie author. And again, I'm not really talking too much about traditional publishing. So if you're going the querying route, you're still going to want to do all of this stuff, but a lot of it is going to be based on what your traditional publisher is going to allow you to do in some cases. But you can see that more than half of what we have here costs you nothing to get it set up. It's going to cost you some of your time. And then for extra credit work, I have a list of things here. All of my slides are available at that link at the top of the slides, bookfunnel.com/WIP. You can get all of my slides in a flat PDF. So if you're over there furiously scribbling notes, you don't have to do that. This is also recorded, so you can go back and watch it later. We're not going to talk about most of these. We're going to talk a little bit about a few of these extra credit things, but not at great length because I don't have a lot of time. So the first thing I want to talk about, though, is you're going to hear two terms that are used in the industry, reader magnets and lead magnets. And for most people, most authors, when they're discussing these two things, they're really using the two things interchangeably to mean like a free cookie that you're going to give. And sometimes you'll hear people like Tammy Labreck, the newsletter ninja, calls it a cookie. You're going to hear that term, but really what I consider them two different things. So a reader magnet is something that's going to draw a reader in to subscribe to your list after they've already read one of your books or one of your stories. So we're talking about dealing with a reader. A reader is somebody who has read your stuff and really likes you. And now we want to coax them onto your mailing list so that you can talk to them later. And a reader magnet is going to work as a better call to action, which is just a fancy marketing term to mean a thing that you want them to do. So they get to the end of your book, and then we want them to go somewhere. We want them to do something. We want them to leave a review. We want them to buy the next book. Or in most cases, the strongest thing that you can do is try to get them onto your mailing list. That is what a reader magnet is going to do. Now, a lead magnet is doing the same thing. It's working in the same way, but we're actually using it to draw entirely new readers into your author world. Readers who have never read your books before. So they don't know who you are. They've never heard of you, but somehow you've gotten your book in front of them and they might be potential readers. So this is what in marketing, they call cold traffic, as these readers don't know who you are yet. On the other side, we have warm or even organic traffic because those readers have now read your stuff and hopefully like you enough that they want to follow you on the rest of your author journey. So let's get into the plan of action. And the first step is finish your book. I'm going to say this a couple of times during this talk, but if you don't have your first book done yet, do not use everything else I'm going to tell you as a reason to stop and procrastinate and do all that other stuff and not finish your book. Don't walk away and say, well, Damon from BookFunnel said that I need to do all this other stuff, so I definitely don't have time to finish that book. Finish your book, please. I as a writer, I finished my first book and then I sat on it for 6 months. And I think I read it probably 18 more times because I thought, well, surely I'll find one more typo. And I did every single time because it'll never escape without typos. But I spent 6 months reading rereading, thinking that I was somehow going to make it better. But at some point, you're going to have to finish it and you're going to have to publish it out there in the world because people are waiting for your stories, right? Readers, there are so many readers out there in the world and they always want something more to read. So you're going to finish your book first. The second thing you're going to do is you're going to write a reader magnet. So let's talk about what makes a great reader magnet. And again, a reader magnet is something that we are giving that is to a reader who's already read our stuff, right? So a reader is somebody who got to the end of your book, that book you just finished. And now we're trying to get them to do something else. And so we're offering them a little cookie. So short stories make a fantastic reader magnet. They're really quick to write. You can even think about these things as you are writing your books. You come up with an idea and you go, oh, that's a great idea, but it really doesn't fit into the story here, but that would be a great side story. You take one of your characters from your book and make a little side story from it. I write fantasy and we love to write side quests. So we love to take our characters that are not necessarily the lead characters, but sometimes who you think is the lead character and who your readers think is their favorite character are two different characters. So if you can take a character that readers love and pull that person out and write a separate story, those are going to make really great reader magnets. They're part of your world. There's a little Disney earworm for you. They are, you don't have to, in fantasy, we love to go on and on about our worlds and our magic systems and all these sort of things. You don't have to give all of those details. Remember, you're writing this for somebody who just finished reading your book, and now you're giving them a little bit more story. They already know a lot of those details. You don't need to explain who every single character is. So you really can write 1,000 or 2,000 word short story, and you don't have to give all of that background story that somebody might need if they were coming into this cold. And then depending on how you write the short story, they can also work as a lead magnet for cold traffic. We're going to talk about that a little bit more. Bonus chapters. These, just like short stories, very quick to write. 800 words, 1,000 words, perfectly acceptable. It really is just an extra chapter that is going to come at the end of the book or somehow between books if you're writing in series. So it's really easy to write a custom reader magnet for every single one of your books so that no one escapes your funnel. Every single reader who gets to the end of your book has an offer to read a little bit more with a bonus chapter or an extended epilogue or something that comes after. A really good friend of mine, Lucy Score, is a huge romance author. And she started doing this. She started writing. She came to my talk at Novelist Inc. in 2017, where we were talking about reader magnets and bonus chapters and bonus stories in particular. She went home and added and now releases. She actually writes the bonus chapters she writes the books knowing what the bonus chapter is going to be, so that every single one of her books has a bonus chapter at the end, and has managed to grow her mailing list to over 120,000 readers at this point, because everyone gets to the end of the book and they want to find out what happens next. It's not a cliffhanger, right? You don't cheat your reader and not give them the end of the story. If you're writing in romance, give them their happily ever after, give them the end of the story. But if you want to read a little bit more about what happens later, a year later, 5 years later, then you give them a little bit more of that in a bonus chapter. So these have very, very, very high engagement, because somebody who's just got to the end of your book, hopefully loved your book, and now wants to read a little bit more of the story, they're going to sign up for your list so they can get that bonus chapter. The great thing is it's kind of self-selecting. If they got to your to the end of your book and they were kind of meh about it, they're probably not going to sign up to read more of it, which means that the people who sign up and download this bonus chapter, you already know two things about them. One, they've read your book, because they couldn't have got here otherwise. You don't offer this bonus chapter anywhere else. It's only available if they get to the end of the book. And two, they really liked your books enough that they wanted to give over their email address and read more about the story. So these people joining your list, you already know a little bit about them, and you know where they are in your books. So they really attract fans and not people that are just looking for free books to read. And there are tons of people out there that are just looking for freebies to read. These are not those, right? A bonus chapter to a book they've never read is not very valuable. It's only valuable to the people that have actually read the book. Another little bonus, you can reuse your existing cover. So if you've already paid for this beautiful cover for your book, you take that cover, slap a little red ribbon on it that just says bonus chapter, and bam, you're done. You got a beautiful cover. Bonus chapters, however, do not work at all as a good lead magnet, because remember, lead magnets are for cold traffic. And cold traffic doesn't care about a bonus chapter to a book that they've never read. So they are extremely high engagement for readers who've already read your books, but they're not going to work as something that you can give to people who've never read your stuff. And finally, prequel novellas. This doesn't have to be a novella. It can also be a short story, but prequel novellas are very, very popular for authors that are doing reader magnets on BookFunnel. They're going to lead into your existing book or series. So if you have book 1 or even book 1, 2, 3 out there, this prequel is going to come before book 1 and give the reader a little bit more story. In the case of fantasy, you're going to talk about like the first adventure that the characters went on before they met up and became the great band of heroes that they are today. What was that first quest that they went on? In romance, it might be one of the side characters that you bring in later, but you want to tell a little bit more of their story before the thing begins. Or it might even be the protagonists and something that they met sometime that they met before and didn't even realize that they had met before the actual book starts. So the thing to remember is that series readers always want more story. If you're writing books in series, or if you're in your romance and you're writing books in a world, Readers will always want more stories from you. They want to learn more about those characters. They want to learn more about those side characters. They want to learn more about the world that you're building. It's as a Swiftie, people are out there constantly speculating about what Taylor's going to do next and who she's dating, which I don't really care about because I listen for the music, but I really do. But like there are people out there that want to know, what is she doing? What is she releasing? What's going to happen next? Right? They just want more from her. And so prequel novellas can also work as a lead magnet because it appeals to new readers. Somebody who has never read your stuff could read this prequel, which is a full and complete story. And when they get to the end of it, hopefully, if you've done your job right as a writer, they want to then go on and get book one and find out what happens, right? So if a prequel novella can work really, really well as both a reader magnet, because somebody who reads book one still wants to go back and read more story and find out what happened before book one started. But somebody who's never read any of your books can also read this prequel and get excited about reading the book. So the things to remember are, keep it under 12,000 words. You don't need to spend any more time than this. I mean, you can go off and write an entire prequel novel, but if you're going to do that, you should probably put it up for sale and let people buy it from you. So keep it under 12,000 words. People who have never, people who are reading into this, they're already like your stuff. So we just want to give them something in exchange for joining our mailing list as a thank you. But we also want to spend our time writing other books and writing more books. And if you're short on time and you really just can't possibly bring yourself to write two things, go with a prequel novella because it's going to work. It can work both as the reader magnet for readers who've read your stuff and as a lead magnet for cold traffic. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up your mailing list. Oh, I'm going to spill water all over myself. You're going to set up your mailing list. I'm not going to talk a lot about this and the nuts and bolts of this. I will recommend this book that's up on the screen, The Strategic Author's Guide to MailerLite. Most of the authors that are signing up for BookFunnel are using MailerLite. It's free to use up to 1,000 subscribers, and it's a really solid platform that's not super expensive as your mailing list grows. Erica Everest's book is a really great nuts and bolts guide on how to get all of these things set up. So if you're unfamiliar with any of this stuff, if you don't even know what I'm talking about when I say mailing list, check out her book. It's fantastic. And you can pick it up for a few bucks on pretty much every platform. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to write your welcome email. I am not an expert in this, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but I'll tell you who is an expert, Tammy Labrecque, who is the newsletter ninja. And this is her book. And if you go to the link that is not currently on the screen, but will be back in just a second, if you go to bookfunnel.com/WIP, if you've never read this book, BookFunnel will buy you a copy of this book. We love it that much. This book is not a nuts and bolts how to set up a newsletter. That is what Erica's book is about. What Newsletter Ninja is about is how to write emails that are engaging and talk to readers in a really non-salesy way. Because so oftentimes authors get into this business and they build a list and all they can really think to do is email them when they have a new book out, which is great. And we want to, that's the purpose of the list, right? We want to tell readers when we have a new book out, but if you're not talking to them between books, then all you're ever really doing them is asking them to buy stuff from you. And it's not a good look. It looks kind of salesy. So Newsletter Ninja really goes into to the details about how to write really great, engaging emails that are not going to sound salesy. And again, if you haven't read it, if you don't already own a copy, you can certainly pick it up on your favorite platform for a couple of bucks, or BookFunnel will be happy to buy you a copy. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add a call to action to the back of your book before you publish it. And if you've already published it, that's okay. We're indies. We can go back and edit our books and we can republish them anytime we want to. But the reason that I call this out and I say before you publish is if you haven't published your first book yet, you want to make sure that when that book is out there, when you first publish it, you have no idea where those first early readers are going to come from. You don't know if they're going to come from promos, if they're going to come from organic traffic. You will get a bump from some retailers with new books, people that are always browsing genres looking for new books to read. You don't know where those first early readers are going to come from. And no matter where they're coming from, when they read your book and they loved it, and they're like, wow, what a fantastic book. I love this author. You don't want to let them go. You want to make sure that when they get to the end of that book, your book that they loved so much, that you have a thing to offer them to get them to sign up to your list so that you can tell them when you have more things to sell them, and talk about other stuff too. Again, go read Newsletter Ninja. But it's important to have this in there before you publish that first book, or go back and edit your books and add your call to action so that the readers always have the opportunity to follow you and join your newsletter. And then once you've published, if you already have books out there, or if you're just getting ready to publish that first book, it's time to start finding new readers. And this is what Alexa talked about at the top of the hour, which was, it's really important to get your book in front of as many readers as possible so that you can find those readers who are going to become your absolute super fans, right? If no one ever reads your stuff, or if someone is never exposed to your writing, they can never become super fans of your work. And that's ultimately the path that we want readers to take. We want to take a casual reader who might have picked the first time they picked up our book, they read it, they love it, and they're starting to become a fan. They really liked your book enough. Maybe they go on and they read book 2, they read your prequel novella, they read book 3. We want to move them from reader to fan to super fan. And a super fan is somebody who is going to buy everything that you publish forever and ever. Amen. I am a lifelong reader. I have been since I was a kid. I can absolutely tell you that I have authors that are absolutely, I am a super fan of those authors. Some of them I have been since I was a kid, since I was 14 years old. Their books I buy the instant they're published. I pre-order them. I don't care what they are. I am a super fan of those authors. And that is what we all want to have. That's where we all want to get to, is to have those super fans. So we want to start finding new readers because we're going to start them on that journey to becoming our super fans. So the next thing we're going to do is, if you don't have a reader magnet that works as a lead magnet for cold traffic, you're going to have to write a separate lead magnet. So let's talk about what makes a great lead magnet, because they're a little bit different than what makes for a great reader magnet sometimes. Short stories, once again, in this case, we want a short story that's not in the middle of our books, but we want something that's going to lead into and introduce our books in some way, because we want this cold lead who's picked up they liked your book cover, they liked the blurb, they liked your tagline, whatever it was they liked about it, something piqued their interest. They picked up your short story. And when they read it and get to the end of it, we immediately want them to jump into the first book. That's where we want them to go. So you want to make sure that this short story is a really, really great example of your writing, who you are as an author. What you want is, you want to be very clear that you're saying, if you like this book, then you're going to love my books. So come with me on this journey because you're going to love my writing. And I find that all the time. It takes me a chapter or two into a book to decide whether or not an author is my kind of author, right? I read primarily fantasy. So your book cover already told me, if you're doing your job right, your book cover already told me it's got a dragon on it. Woo, I'm into it. So I already know that you're writing the kind of stuff that I like, but there are writers that I like and writers that I don't. I don't tend to like really loquacious and wordy authors, and there are a lot of them in fantasy. And so I can tell within a chapter or two that this author is probably not going to be for me. And you want to make sure that your lead magnet, your short story or your novella, whatever that is, does the same thing, that it shows readers the kind of writer that you are. So you want to make it really good. You want to make sure that this isn't just some crappy story that you flopped out there. And you want to make sure that it's a complete story. Do not try to tempt readers onto your list with a cliffhanger or something that leaves them feeling cheated, like it was a bait and switch. That doesn't mean that you can't make a cliffhanger or something that is exciting and leads into the book, but you want the story. You don't want to drop out in the middle of the story. You want to make sure that they're getting a complete story, because again, this might be the first time this reader is ever interacting with you as an author, and you want to make sure that makes a really good impression. Prequel novellas also work great as lead magnets. I would say these are probably the most popular lead magnets that we have on BookFunnel. You have 10 or 12,000 words, or 8,000, however you want to write it, but you have enough time to really show a reader who you are as an author, the kind of writing that you do, the kind of stories that you tell, the kind of characters that you build. And better yet, they're going to lead into the books that you've already published or the series that you have going. So somebody picks up your lead magnet, picks up your prequel novella, and you've got 10,000 words to convince them that you are the author for them. And then at the end of that prequel, again, not with a huge, gut punch of a cliffhanger, but you want to leave them with a desire to then immediately go pick up your book. And if you do your job right, that's just going to happen naturally, right? I can tell you that when I pick up a book one and I read it, I don't ever get to if I get to the end of book one and I really liked it, there's never a time where I'm like, that was really good. Maybe I'll pick up book two sometime in a year or two. No, I immediately go and see if book two is available and immediately buy it. Because that's what happens. You get to the end of the story, you don't want to miss it. You want to find out what happens next. So you want to do that in your prequel novella. Make sure that you leave them with a desire to immediately pick up your book. And the reason that two big reasons why people, most authors on BookFunnel are using short stories or novella length works as their reader magnet. Number one, they don't take a lot of time for you to write, not nearly as much as, say, a full novel would. But number two, they don't actually require a huge commitment from readers either. And when you're talking about leads, cold traffic, readers who've never read your stuff before, asking them without a recommendation from a friend or a blog or a TikTok, asking them to read a 140,000 word novel, if you write in fantasy, 250,000 words maybe, from a writer that they don't know is a really big ask. Whereas asking them to read 10,000 words, I can read 10,000 words in about an hour and decide, hey, I really like this writer. I want to go pick up their book. Things you don't want to do in a lead magnet. Don't use bonus chapters, deleted scenes, things like that. Those are fantastic things for fans and readers who have already read your stuff and already love you as an author. They don't work as leads. You have to have already sort of read the original material for you to get any value out of a bonus chapter or deleted scenes. And don't use a cheap cover. This is one of the downsides if you aren't using something like a bonus chapter. You can't really reuse the covers on your existing books. It'll confuse readers because they look the same. Instead, you want to go in and actually get a new cover for this, and don't go in on a cheap one. Again, for a lot of readers, this is the first time they've ever interacted with you as an author, and you want to always put your best foot forward. So once you have your great lead magnet, you're going to go join BookFunnel promos. You're going to use the coupon code that we've offered for everybody here. You're going to sign up for BookFunnel, and you're going to start looking at group promos. So what group promos are is working with other authors in your genre to find new readers, right? If I write small town contemporary romance, I can go and I can look on the BookFunnel group promo board and find probably 10 other promos that are running right now that are recruiting for small town contemporary romance. And you get into a promo and you're going to get in front of readers who've never heard of you. I'm going to get into a promo with, let's say there's 29 other authors. So there's 30 authors in this group promo. And everyone in that promo is going to email their existing list and tell them about this promo that they're in with these 29 other fantastic authors that all write small town contemporary romance. So you're going to get your books in front of the right readers, which are, number one, readers that are already reading what you write. If we're all writing small town contemporary romance, then everybody's list is filled with readers who read small town contemporary romance. And better yet, they are the readers that read emails and then click on the links in those emails. So every promo that you're joining, you're working on getting your books in front of the right readers, which means your biggest job is mostly just finding the right promos. If there's a gigantic romance promo that has 300 authors in it or something like that, that's probably not the best one to join. You're far more likely to find the right readers if you write horror is great. If you write alien invasion horror, that's a smaller niche, but the readers on other alien invasion horror authors lists are already going to be the right readers that you want to get in front of. And using BookFunnel promos, you can build a small loyal list very, very quickly. It's going to depend a lot on your genre. If you write in romance, you're going to have a much easier time because there are so many romance authors and so many romance promos on BookFunnel, just because romance tends to be the heaviest genre of readers. So once you've done a few group promos and you've started to build up a little bit of a list, we have another feature called author swaps. Author swaps are really just group promos one-on-one, right? You're going to work with one other author in your specific genre, and we both write the same kinds of books. Our books, our covers look on brand. They both work. So I'm going to send your book to my list, and you're going to send my book to your list. And so the most important thing here is that you find the right authors for your book. You look through the author swaps board, find the authors whose book covers really stand out and look like yours. And you say, oh, they write the same books that I write, because their list of readers is going to be the readers that read what you're writing. So you want to be a bit more selective when you're dealing with author swaps. When you're doing group promos, you should find the promos that fit your books the best and join those. And you should join several of them a month, especially as you're getting started and you're first building the list. There are lots of promos on BookFunnel that are accepting of new authors and authors that are just out there building their list for the first time, because we all started somewhere. And most of the authors on BookFunnel are very welcoming of new authors. When it comes to author swaps, though, you want to be a bit more selective, because you're actually, though you're not technically recommending their book, right? If you have the time and you go and you read this other author's book and you really like it, then you can really give a personal recommendation to your mailing list. You can say, I read this book, I loved it, I think it's a lot like mine, I love her characters, you guys are going to love it too. But even if you don't have time for that, the fact that you're recommending a single book to your list is going to look a little bit more like a recommendation than just, hey, I'm in this promo with a bunch of other authors. So you want to be a bit more selective. You might even want to go sample the other author's book and make sure that they're writing the same thing that you're writing. Their cover might look like contemporary romance, and then you start reading and it's really steamy romance. Which is fine if you also write steamy romance. If you don't, and instead you write Christian romance, you're going to surprise your readers quite a lot when they open up this other author's book and find that it's a bit steamy. So you want to make sure that you really find the authors that are going to match you well. And the other thing about author swaps is you're going to need at least a little bit of a list, even if it's small, to get started, which is why we say you should probably jump into promos first, because you can work with other authors in your genre in a group promo and start to build a small loyal list very quickly. Then you can start doing author swaps. Generally, when you're swapping one-on-one, the other author is going to want something from you, which is mostly that they want new readers. They want to get their book in front of new readers, just like you're trying to do. So you're going to need at least a small list to get started on that. So reiterating the thing that I just said, we're going to start your marketing. This is building your book funnel and beginner marketing stuff. You're going to start your marketing with group promos and author swaps so that you can learn to perfect your book funnel. Do you have the right cover? Is your cover attracting the kinds of readers that you're meaning to target? Do you have a great tagline, something that is really tempting, so that you can test these things out with group promos? If you put yourself into a group promo and you're with 30 other authors and you find that your book cover is not getting clicked on nearly as many as some of the rest of them, look at those other book covers. Why are they getting more clicks than you? You can use these tools for just, with the coupon code that we threw out there, I think it's $8.88 a month to sign up for BookFunnel and start using group promos and author swaps to test these assumptions and make sure that everything is perfect in your book funnel before you start doing paid promotions. So I want to talk about paid promotions, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because if you're just getting started, I really don't think that you should spend a lot of money on this. But I do want to mention it because once you have a few books out there and you do have your funnel ready to go, you're going to want to start looking at some of these things. Here's a few promotions services that are out there in the world. I'm not personally recommending any of these, but I wouldn't have put these up there if I didn't think that they were solid services that you could use. But notice we're looking at, $30, $40, $50, some even higher here. This is real money that you're going to spend to get your books, again, in front of new readers. You want to make sure that before you do that, you have this funnel in place so that whatever money you're paying for these paid promotions, you're also getting them. When those people come into your funnel, you have everything set to capture those people. And then finally, if you're already doing BookFunnel group promos, you're already doing author swaps, you feel like you've got a few paid promotions under your belt and you're doing well, then it's time, and you have a number of books out there, it's time to start running and paying for actual paid advertising. So mostly when we talk about ads, we're talking about Facebook ads, Amazon ads, and BookBub ads. Again, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. I really don't recommend it unless you have at least 3 books out there. Every dollar that you spend in advertising is going to be multiplied by the number of books that you have. If you have 1 book and it costs you $1 to get a reader into that book, that's it. You sold them 1 book and you have nothing else to sell them. If you have 3 books and people get in and read book 1 and then go on to buy book 2 and book 3, you're multiplying your advertising dollars every time you spend them. So I really, at BookFunnel, I say me personally, and then at BookFunnel, and you'll find a lot of other authors that will tell you that spending money on paid advertising is a great way to light money on fire if you don't know what you're doing. So you want to be a little bit careful, and you want to make sure that you have enough product out there that you can make a better return on your investment. And then always, always, always the best advertising, the best thing you can do to find more readers is to write the next book. The best thing that sells the last book is the next book. So as soon as you have, and a lot of this stuff is set it and forget it. Once you have your funnel in place, you have calls to action in the backs of all of your books. You're running maybe a couple of promos a month, or you're occasionally doing an author swap. You're spending more and more of your time writing the next book, because that is that's the most important thing that you can do to keep more readers coming in. And then finally, once you've got all of these things in place, unfortunately, you're going to have to actually talk to your readers. And this is probably the biggest mistake that I see authors on BookFunnel making, which is they come in, they start using promos, they start using author swaps, they start building this list, and then they never say anything to them. They don't talk to them unless they have a new book out, which is probably the worst thing that you can do. I mean, unless you're publishing like a book a week, and then, maybe you don't want to be bothering them all the time. But if you're writing that fast, you probably don't need a lot of this, and probably could have spent your time elsewhere. But talk to your readers at least once per month, at least once a month. Send them an email that talks about what's going on in your life. If you have that to talk about, if you want to share personal details, you can, but you don't have to. Most of the time, the readers are there because they care about your books and they want to know more about the books. But don't just talk about when the next book is going to be available. If every month is just like, hey, I'm still working on book 3. Hey, book 3, progress on book 3 is coming along really well. Don't do that. Find other things to talk about. Read Newsletter Ninja. There are some great ideas in there about things that you can talk about, so that you are, at least once a month, you're keeping that list fresh and warm, and those readers are ready, so that when you do have a new book, it doesn't feel like it's out of nowhere that you're trying to pitch them on something to sell them. You've been talking to them every month for months even. And then the last thing that I say is, if you really, really don't know what to say, you don't know what to write in an email, write them a short story. Go to your characters, go to your books, find a 1,000 or 2,000 word short story that you can write, email them once a month and say, hey guys, I'm still working on book 3. You do want to give them a progress update a little bit. Hey, I'm still working on book 3. I had this great idea for a side story with character such and such that I know you guys love. I thought you guys would really enjoy it. Here it is. And then everybody can go download it for free, because you may not give it for free to everyone, but you want to treat your fans with a little bit extra, right? These are the people that are already on your list, and they're already on your way to becoming fans or becoming super fans. And you want to make sure that they're getting a little bit extra. We have a romance author, who releases a short story every other month. So starting in February at the beginning of the year. So every other month, she writes an email that's kind of a progress update and talks about her writing and talks about what she's watching on television or what she's currently reading. And then every other month, she has a new short story that's all a part of her world. And at the end of the year, she always ends with a Christmas short story, which she writes romance, and romance readers love Christmas stories. Go ask Hallmark. So at the end of the year now, she's written 6 short stories that all take place in her world. She boxes all 6 of those short stories up, puts them up in a little anthology box set, and sells that. So if you were on her list all year, you got all 6 of those stories for free. You just get those for being her biggest fans. If you didn't, well, you can go buy them on Amazon. Every short story that you write, every novella that you write, is also one more piece of content for your backlist. You don't have to give them away for free forever and ever. They can be things that you sell, but these are the little things, the little tidbits that you want to give, so that your super fans get things that other people don't get. Talking about Taylor Swift again, she sings at every single one of her concerts on the Eras tour that she's currently on. She had 2 surprise songs every single night, and every single night they were different songs. So as her fans, you never knew which surprise songs you were going to get. And you could only get them, though, if you went to the concert, because you weren't going to see that at any other show. So there were people that were buying tickets to multiple shows every night that she was in town, because they wanted to see what the surprise songs were going to be, and they didn't want to miss out. That is what your super fans will do for you. And that is the kind of fandom that we all want to build as creators. So just to wrap things up, we're going to go back through this list really quickly, but again, you can find all of my slides at that link. You're going to finish your book. Once again, you're not going to use Damon and say, Damon from BookFunnel told me that I could procrastinate and not finish my book because I have to go write a reader magnet instead. Nope, finish your book. Then you're going to write a reader magnet, something that you're going to use as a call to action in the back of all of your books. You're going to set up a mailing list. You're going to write a welcome email using the book that the newsletter ninja, the BookFunnel, is going to buy you if you don't already have it. You're going to put a call to action in the back of your books. All of your books, every book that's out there that's published to have a call to action that is enticing readers to get onto your list. And then you're going to write a lead magnet or use your reader magnet if possible, if it's going to work for both. The lead magnet is for cold traffic. You're going to get a BookFunnel account. Hopefully you're going to use that coupon that we're offering for everybody, so that you can get a nice discount on that. You're going to start joining group promos once you have that lead magnet ready to go and your books are out there and published and they're ready to sell. You're going to start joining group promos so that you can get people to join your list and then start moving them towards buying your books and becoming fans. Once you've built up a little bit of a list, you're going to start looking for some author swaps, because that's just another way that you can reach new readers. And once you have multiple books out there and you're ready to start diving into the world of paid advertising, you're going to start doing that next. And if you get all of these steps set up, there are far more complicated things that you can do in marketing, but this is really the beginner stuff. This is the stuff that you want to have all of these things in place before you start getting into the more complicated stuff, because no matter what you do, the things that you build on later in your marketing funnels are all going to depend on these earlier steps and getting them right. Finishing your book, obviously, but a great reader magnet is going to ensure that anybody that reads your books is immediately going to want to jump onto your list. A great lead magnet means that when you're out there doing group promos or when you're out there buying paid ads and things like that, people are getting you already have a great cover, a great tagline, and a great offer, and you've tested all of these things so that you're not spending more of your money to get people onto your list. The better your funnel is, the less money that you're going to spend when you start doing more of these higher level and paid marketing efforts. So that's all I have, and we are right at 47 minutes, and we have time for questions.
Well, Damon, that was amazing information. I just really quickly, we've got a frenzy of activity on the discount coupon code. There is no actual coupon code. If you go to either the link that he has on the page or womeninpublishingsummit.com/BookFunnel, we get you to exactly the same page. The coupon code is already, the discount's already embedded for you. And no, there is no discount on the first level because the first level only costs $20 a year. So yeah. You can't really discount something that's already only $1.67 per month. And also there are all the free downloads there as well for that. You don't have to worry about the expiration date. It's good probably till the end of BookFunnel has signed on as a sponsor again for the next conference. So probably till the end of next year. Right. But so, if you're not quite at the process yet, bookmark this page. Make a calendar invite to yourself, or a calendar task, so that you remember, okay, at this point, I'm going to go get this, and don't miss out on this. I can't tell you how many email subscribers we have added to our list just using the promos. And Ruth, this is a great testimonial from Ruth up here. She says she loves BookFunnel. She started with 500 email subscribers. I lost Ruth's comment, so I'm trying to remember this off the top of my head, but I think she said she started with 500, started using BookFunnel, and now has over 1,900 subscribers from using BookFunnel. So now it's past. Yes, exactly. So 1,900, that's a great testimonial. We've added hundreds, if not thousands of subscribers. That's hard to say fast, to ours as well. And I just want to say, before we get into the questions, if you've got some questions that have been percolating, please put them in the Q&A box. We're going to get over there. There's 17 in there right now. Reminder that if you have the same question that somebody else has, you can up level a question. So look through the Q&A box. If there's a question you're very interested in getting answered, in case we don't have time to get through all of them, you can go upvote them so that we can make sure that the most popular questions are answered first. And while people are putting their questions in there, I think it's hilarious that you reference the Taylor Swift stuff so much, because her effect is incredible. And you're in the glow because you just went to her concert, right? Sure. I went to her concert with my daughter in April, and we're still
going
about it because she's so effective. If everybody could learn to market themselves like Taylor Swift does, we would all be We would all be amazing.
And I'm
But
certain that if she had like marketing people that were always telling her what to do, she would be very different. Like nobody, like
yes,
you're supposed to be this super amazing rock star, right? You shouldn't be a real human. And yet she is. She really talks about it. She'll sit there at the piano and she'll, she'll make a little guffaw. Like, but
yes,
all of that endears her to
yes,
her. Yeah, they're talking about, I see Nadia saying like she gave $55 million to all of the people that worked on the Eras tour. I mean, like that is a huge part of who she is. And it's also the sincerity, right? And so that is why when I talk about building a funnel and we talk about mailing lists, and I know that people say, oh, I get a lot of people that say, I hate mailing lists. And the truth is that a lot of people do, but I love the mailing lists of the authors that I love. I
yes.
don't want to be on Old Navy's mailing list because they just spam me every day talking about discounts. And that's fine. I'll buy Old Navy when I need to, but I don't need to know about discounts every day. But when it comes to my authors that I love, no, I want to know what's going on. I want to know when Brandon Sanderson has a new book out. I want
Yes.
to know when he launches a gigantic Kickstarter, which almost nobody could get away from if you were anywhere in the publishing industry.
Right.
But like, I want to know those things. That's why I love those authors. And that's what we're all looking for.
Yeah. And I mean, just shining through your personality in your people ask all the time, we just talked about getting the people onto your email list, but that piece that's so important of keeping it going, as you talked about as well. And it is about sharing who you are and being personal and making them really like you as a person. So two of the questions that I've seen a couple times through the chat, and I see them also in, and we'll address the first one. If you're not self-published, what are some of your tips and tools for the traditionally published authors?
So part of that is going to depend on what your traditional publisher will allow you to do. A lot of traditional publishers will allow you to write short stories and novellas and shorter length works within your world or using your characters without needing their permission to distribute them. So as long as you're not writing novel length things in your world or with your characters, a lot of contracts will allow you to do that because this benefits them too, especially if you're going with smaller publishers. They really want you to do this stuff because they want to sell more of your books. And if you're out there using the marketing features, you're out there putting out the work that gets more people to buy the book, well, then they're going to benefit from it too. But you're going to want to check with your contracts. You're going to want to check with your editors and make sure that these things are allowed. If not, then you're still going to want to build a mailing list. People are out there right now. They read your book, and look, I read Tor. Tor is one of the largest fantasy publishers in the world. I'm on Tor's mailing list. And at the back and the front and the back of every single Tor book that I publish, there's a link to join Tor's mailing list, not the mailing list of the author. So your publisher is probably not going to let you put a link to your stuff in your book because they're trying to pitch their stuff. But you want to make sure that if you're traditionally published, that you have a website out there where people can find you, because readers will get to the end of the book and go, wow, I really love that author. I wonder if they have more books. And then they're going to go Google your author name. You want them to hit your website. And that is where you'll hit them up with your reader magnet if you're allowed to do that. And if not, at the very least, offer a sign up to your mailing list, even if you can't offer a reader magnet, if your contract doesn't allow that, because you still want people to be able to join your list. It is still your job to build that fandom because your publisher is not going to do it for you.
That's a great answer. Okay. And I've got lots of people asking about children's books, which I can tell you as a children's book publisher, we use it all the time. We've built our email list with every single book that we've published. So and there's always big promos for children's books. There's one that's building up right now for September. So
yeah, children's books are really popular. We get a lot of those on BookFunnel, and I think it's a slightly different pitch because, of course, you're pitching your book to parents, even though the children are going to be the ones who enjoy the books. So your pitch is a little bit different. But I will say that as a parent myself, really what you want to do is you want to make sure that the whatever it is that you're putting up, either a sample of your book, or sometimes a lot of authors will just give a PDF of their children's book away on BookFunnel because children's books don't sell a lot in digital formats. It's still a very, very heavily print format. So even though you're giving away a copy of your entire children's book, That's not how parents are going to read it to their kids, right? They're going to, I know when I have bought children's books for my kids, I would go through the look inside, either on like Scholastic's website or on Amazon. I'm trying to look and see if this book is going to be something that I want to read to my kids, because that's how I pitch it. So giving them the entire book is actually not going to cost you a sale. Most people are not sitting down and with their kids and like flipping through their iPhone. Kids want to hold and touch books. So you can even give away the entire book and say, look, if this book is right for you, click here and you can go buy a copy on Amazon, or you can go buy it direct from my website, or however it is that you're selling it. Another one that we do is we also offer audio distribution. So children's books authors will often offer a audio reader magnet, which is them reading their children's book. So you can actually hear the book as read in the author's own voice, and you can put that out there. It'll take you, it'll take you a little bit of time to record it, but it doesn't have to be professional. It's not something you're going to get a narrator to do. It is your voice, and it sounds more like a bedtime story. It's a 3 to 5 minute audio clip. We have a lot of children's authors that do that, so that you're not giving away the book, you're giving away them reading the book. But as a parent, I can listen to it and go, oh, this is great. Children's books have messages, right? If you're typically, if you're doing it right, there's a point to your book. And as a parent, I want to know that the point that you're making is something that I want to teach my children. And so I listen to it and I go, oh, this is a great book. I need to go buy this. And of course, you immediately give them a link to go and buy it.
And I can double everything. I mean, just double concur. I don't know what word I was looking for. Corroborate, whatever. Yes, what he just said is absolutely 100% correct. We give away so many PDFs of our children's books. We do it in the pre-launch stage to build the ARC team. We do it at post-launch just to build interest, because so many of those people, if they love what he just said, I just want to reiterate that if they love it, they want to hold the picture book. They want to see the pictures. They want to do all those types of things. And the key with no matter what you're using is to get them on your email list and to also sell through your email list. So once they're there, then we remind them that the book is out. We do promos. We offer the discounted rates on the print book from time to time. We have our link to them reading it on the YouTube channel. So we can say, come listen to our author read the book, and YouTube, they get to actually show them. So it's like story hour. There's just, the sky is the limit, y'all. Do not limit yourself by just think, if you think you can do, if you can imagine it, you can do it. And it's just really exciting. So yeah, a great resource for children's books. Can you send them just a story from your book as a lead?
So if we were talking about something like an anthology, yes. If you mean like sample chapters, you can. I will tell you that they don't work quite as well, because readers feel like that you're just giving them a sample and then they want to read the rest of the book, and now they kind of feel like they got baited. So we used to see that a lot more, but most of the time you're publishing up on Amazon or wherever else, they can go read a sample on every platform, right? If you're just going to give them chapters 1, 2, and 3, they can go read that anywhere. So the magnet that you're going to give them, the thing that you want is they're getting on your list, and you want to make sure they feel like they got something of value for joining your list. So if you were doing like an anthology, however, where you published a bunch of short stories, pulling one of those short stories out, Writers of the Future is a huge contest, if you've never heard of it, for fantasy and science fiction, that's run by the L. Ron Hubbard Foundation. But they take, they publish a new volume every year that has all these huge award-winning short stories, but they'll take 1 or 2 of those short stories and pull them out, and those become the magnets. So it's not a sample. These are the actual stories from the anthology. You're just getting 1 or 2 of them to kind of show you what is in this book. And then of course, hopefully you go on and you buy the whole book because you want to read them all. I hope that answers your question.
Seemed like a good answer to me. Are most of the paid promotions for ebooks only?
Talking about paid promo services, yes, in general, there are, Goodreads has a few promo services where you can give away like 100 or 50 or 10 copies of your paperbacks or things like that. Those tend to be really popular, but they also cost a lot of money, because they cost several $1,000s, because you're paying to have the books printed, shipped, and do all that stuff. And they're not generally open to readers that are outside of the US. BookFunnel is non-geographic. Anything you put up on BookFunnel can be downloaded from anywhere in the world. That is not necessarily the case, typically when you're doing print books and things like that. You know, you try to ship a printed book to New Zealand and it'll cost $8 million. I don't even know. So those promos tend to be a lot more expensive. And I don't know that they're really necessary. Certainly there are readers out there who absolutely still love reading print and hard, you know, hard copy books. But most of them also read ebooks these days. So especially if you're just trying to give them a sample of what your writing is and the kinds of stories that you write, you know, certainly make the links available so that if they get to the end of your short story, your prequel, and they're on your list, that they can immediately click and buy all the paperbacks if that's what they're into.
Yeah. I mean, all of your books should be linked on Amazon. So if you have an ebook and you have a paperback and a hardcover and an audiobook, when somebody goes to your ebook link, they'll see all of those.
Yeah.
So they'll be able to choose the format that they like the most. So there you go. This is a great question. This is actually a really good question from Carol. Any advice for those who have joined group promos that didn't turn out to be what was promised and their ratings were compromised?
Email our support. If you joined a promo that didn't work out for you, and sometimes that happens. BookFunnel does not organize these promos. These are organized by other authors just like you. Some of them just drop the ball. Others have, I mean, we get them all the time, medical emergencies, things that happened. We're very understanding. Our admins are, we will go and look at your history and say, yeah, this person has a really solid history. They just got into a couple of bad promos, and we'll just remove those from your reputation. For those of you who don't know, BookFunnel keeps what we call a reputation, which is also the name of a Taylor Swift album. We keep a reputation that basically just says how many promos you've joined and what your average number of shares of clicks that you've gotten to those promos. And that number is important because when you're joining in these promos, organizers want to see that you do your part, really is all it really comes down to, that you're the kind of person who, if I let you into my promo, you're going to share with your list, right? It works when we all work together, right? The teamwork makes the dream work. And so we want to make sure that everybody is sharing. That is what the reputation is for. If you ended up in a couple of promos where the promo itself kind of was the thing that you know, you weren't the reason that it failed, but the organizer didn't do a very good job, email support@bookfunnel.com. That's our author support line, and just explain the situation. We'll go look at everything and we'll just knock those other ones off your reputation. We do the same thing. We want to make sure that everybody is sharing and participating. So the reputation is really just there to stop people who might be trying to skim a bunch of readers off of everybody and not do their part.
I like Nadia's question here because it's about for anybody who's trying to decide if they're going to sign up for BookFunnel and which one. She's curious about which option of the three options is the best for someone who has just one book published, but another in launch stage.
So I would honestly recommend the mid list with integrations is going to be it's with the coupon code. I think it comes out to about, I think our coupon was off $50 off. So $100 for your first year, which is what, less than $9 a month. So the reason that I like that one is it integrates directly with your mailing list. As soon as people sign up through a promo or through an author swap, they are immediately sent to MailerLite or MailChimp or any of those other integrations. So they immediately get your welcome email and they're already on your list. If you get the mid-list plan, which is $50 cheaper, you don't have to do the integration. It's more manual. You're going to have to export readers either once a day or periodically, and then go import them into your mailing list. And that is something that you can do, but for ease of use, I would probably recommend that's really the mid-list with integrations. The reason why we offer the coupon is because we feel like that's the plan that everybody should really join. If you just want to join and kick the tires around a little bit, the $20 a year plan is a great way to kick around and browse the BookFunnel, the promos board and the swaps, and really see if everything is going to work for you. And if you write in a really, really niche genre, you may find that there aren't a lot of promos for books like yours. And if that is the case, then maybe using and setting up your own mailing list and using BookFunnel for reader magnet delivery for $20 a year is a better deal for you, because there aren't going to be a lot of promos that you can find if you're writing in a much smaller niche genre.
Some group promos don't allow novellas or short stories. What do you suggest I do?
Almost all of them allow short stories and novellas that are complete stories. If you're browsing them, the one thing they will say is they don't allow excerpts or a sample. I would be I mean, there may be a few promos that are just, they want full novels, but I got to be honest, most authors on BookFunnel are not giving away full novels. And so even if somebody put that into their promo requirements, they're going to have a hard time finding a lot of authors that are willing to give away a full novel. You might, if you have, I mean, if you got a 15 book series, hell yeah, give them book 1 for free. Let them get the first book and then hopefully fall into your funnel and read the other 15 books. So they have 14 books. But most of the promos, if you look at the little requirements, what they will say is they don't allow excerpts or samples of your book. They want a complete story, whether that is a short story or whether that is a novella. If you are giving away a full novel, I will tell you, readers love that, right? The more you give them, the more they feel. I mean, it's like Taylor Swift and giving away $55 million of like generosity, right? So if you have a long running series and you're not in Kindle Unlimited and you are able to give away the first book, look, one of my favorite authors is Lindsay Buroker, who writes science fiction and fantasy. And she puts all of her books into KU, but then with about a year later, she pulls them all out and she sends them all wide. And once she does, she basically gives away she'll have a 9-book series. She'll give you the first 3 in a box set for free. So the first 3 novels, but she knows that a lot of people will read book 1 and then not, maybe fall off and go, it's not really the series for me. So they don't go on to read book 2 or book 3. Once a reader gets to book 3, there is almost zero fall off. Nobody who gets to book 3 in a series is going to be like, I don't think I'll read book 4. I mean, if you're doing a good job as an author, that's not going to happen. So she found with her statistics that once she could get you through 3 books, you're going to buy the rest of the series. I got 9 books in a series and all the rest of the books in the series are $6.99. So if I'm giving you the first 3 for free, I'm still going to make plenty of money on the next 6 books because you're going to buy, if you get through the first 3, you're going to buy the other 6.
Awesome. We've got lots of questions on different genres. I see people asking about historical novels, humor authors, nonfiction, short essay. I mean, I've seen pretty much everything out there. Is there anything that you would say, we don't really see much success with this genre?
I would say nonfiction can be a little bit harder because you're looking for promos that not only are just, nonfiction itself is not a genre. Self-help is a genre. Self-improvement is a genre, meditation, so you're looking for promos that are not just nonfiction, but that are going to match what you are selling. Readers that are reading nonfiction are typically trying to solve a problem. I have backaches, so I'm looking for books. Well, there's only so many books you can read about back pain, right? So when you're joining promos, you want to find, if you're doing nonfiction, you want to find something that is going to be close to what you're doing. If you sell a book that's all about great, keto recipes, well, there are lots of promos on BookFunnel that are doing like small, that are doing cookbook promos and things like that. Or there might be a promo that's all about, physical self-improvement, right? So there are books about working out and think, okay, great, my keto recipe book fits in perfectly with that. But you're going to find it a little bit harder, even though we do have quite a number of nonfiction promos on BookFunnel. It's finding the right, where your book actually fits into what the topic of this particular nonfiction promo is. As for other genres, I mean, unless you're getting really, really niche, BookFunnel, we have promos in just about everything. The more niche you go, the smaller the promo is going to be. But that said, as you're starting out, it is better to go small. It is better to go narrow. Again, romance, gigantic. Small town romance, smaller. Small town historical, well, now you're getting a little bit smaller. And romance readers, some of them bounce around, but a lot of them really like what they like, right? So if you write Regency romance, well, guess what? Find a Regency promo. That's going to work better for you than just finding general romance. But there are some that's like, I don't read Regency, I read Highlander romance. Well, now you're getting even more niche. But if you join if you write Highlander romance, which is romance that is sort of it's historical, but it's also guys in kilts and Scotsmen and clans and all of that sort of stuff. So if you write Highlander romance though, and you see a Highlander romance promo that only has 10 other authors, that's still going to be a fantastic promo because all 10 of those authors write and their readers read Highlander romance. So, but just like try not to get too niche. Like I write Highlander romance with guys who carry big swords and wear spats for shoes. Okay, this is maybe a little too niche.
Yeah, and same with like memoir. I see some questions on that. Like, you're probably not going to be able to get down into the nitty gritty, like a travel memoir. Who knows? There might be a lot of those out there, but you can still participate in the big overarching memoir categories. And the cool thing about that is that people like different types of memoirs. So again, with these promos, if you're not clear on how they work yet, so somebody starts a promo, everybody who has a book that fits into that topic can apply to participate. So let's say we're doing memoir. We'll give that as an example. So they might be like, we want memoirs that are, of this, or this, but generally it's probably going to be memoirs, right?
Mhm.
So then you come in there, everybody submits their book. So you may have one from somebody who grew up in Eastern Europe and is talking about theirs. You may have one who traveled Europe. You may have one who wrote Wild, something like that, or, they're all fall on this. So then everybody's out there promoting their link to this promo. So their audience comes in and they see all the books out there and they might say, anything on Europe or Eastern Europe, I'm totally down for. Anything on this, or, oh, wow, that sounds really exciting. I didn't think about coming here to find out a book about somebody who was raised in a cult or whatever. So they'll look through all the books and they'll decide which ones they want and then they claim them. So,
Right.
That's why sometimes it's very good to get specific, per Damon's just the last example there. Like, not all romance readers are the same. You can't lump all spice levels into one group. You have big
Mhm.
problem. But if you have spicy in one, clean in one, romance or whatever, that's great to boil it down. But other genres, it's a lot easier. Like children's picture books, for example, you're rarely going to see one that's like children's picture books only for people who have animals as main characters. It's probably going to be age range if it gets specific or something like that. But mostly a lot of children's picture books just get lumped all in the same category.
Yeah, and something like a travel memoir is actually going to work in both memoir promos and
And
travel
travel.
promos. So
Yeah.
you'll find nonfiction travel promos that have a few memoirs or guidebooks or recipe books about traveling southern Italy. Like a topic like travel for nonfiction has all kinds of places that you can go with it, and there are lots of readers out there who love reading about travel, whether it is and Eat, Pray, Love sort of fiction novel. You can even put a fiction novel into a nonfiction travel promo if your book is all about travel, because you're
Right.
targeting readers who specifically like to read books about traveling.
Yeah. Okay, we have gone over significantly. I would say make sure you go to the link that we dropped there, go to BookFunnel sites, download those free resources. The reason Damon gives those to you is because they help you figure out all of these things and give you more information to help you along the way. I think you guys have a blog as well, or stuff on your website that can help people
Absolutely.
answer these questions. But
And then
go ahead.
And then if you have any other questions, if I didn't get to your question and you have it, email support@bookfunnel.com. That is our author support team. We are there 365 days a year, even on Christmas, and we are happy to answer questions, even if you're not a BookFunnel customer. We're happy to answer any questions about BookFunnel or even just publishing in general, right? We get questions all the time.
Awesome. All right. Well, Damon, again, thank you so much for the amazing support that you have brought to us as a sponsor. We love your tool. We will always use your tool. We will always shout it from the hills that this is such a great tool to use. And everybody make sure that you are, one, thinking about what you can use as a lead magnet, and two, putting it all in the right places. The one question, actually, I do want to hit this one really quickly because I think this is a problem that a lot of people do face, and I've seen it a couple times in questions. If you have the BookFunnel landing page and you have your own landing page on your website, people are asking, like, what do they, once you have the BookFunnel landing page, beyond entering it into group promos, and you also gave a great description of putting it into the back of the book and to doing other places, but do you have any other suggestion? The question was, what do I do? How do I promote that BookFunnel landing page? I mean, those are the two major ways. Enter the group funnels, put it in your books, share it on social media.
Yeah. So anywhere that you're, if you're posting, if you're posting on social media, if you're active on Facebook or Book Talk or any of those places, posting those links, I would say you're probably going to drive more traffic to your website if you're actually like doing social media type stuff, because there's still going to be the sign up there. And it doesn't really matter which sign up page you send them to, ultimately, if they get onto your list. So a lot of it is going to depend on whether or not you have built a really good sign up page on your website. If you haven't, if you just kind of have a little box there off to the side, that's not going to be nearly as attractive. Our landing pages, we've studied the data and we've built them over the years to be very, very good at converting readers into getting on that page and then signing up. So if you have a web designer or somebody who's built you a really great landing page, use that. Send people to that. If you haven't, I would say our landing pages are really built for this stuff. And we spent a lot of time studying it and making sure that we're doing the right thing to get more and more people to convert. And we're always looking at our pages to make sure that if there's any tweaks or changes that we can make that are going to make the conversions even higher, then we make those changes. We're always updating stuff.
It's so easy to use, and the landing pages are so simple to create, and they're so easy as a recipient of the landing page, as the reader, to go in and get the thing. But you know what we didn't talk about at all that is my favorite feature is the app, because when you can get that code and then you can put it, because I do everything on my phone these days. And
everyone does. Everyone
BookFunnel
does.
app, you just enter in the code and boom, it works just like your Kindle application or anything else right there on your phone, where you can read the books right easily like that. So that's also something you should be telling your list about and your social media about. You can get it right on your app, do all those fun things. But yeah.
Yeah,
like
we don't have to, I don't even have to cut the time to talk about. I mean, it would take an entire day to talk about everything that BookFunnel could do. So
many things, but it's a wonderful tool. And Damon will be with us again at the conference in March. We'll be starting to sell tickets in the upcoming months, definitely, but he will be there with us to answer more questions. We'll have a specific room for him just to answer your questions. So between now and then, if you have questions, meet us at the conference in March, and we will see everyone else at our next event, which I don't remember when it is, but check womenandpublishingsummit.com/events to see what is up and coming, and we will see you there. Thanks, Damon. Have a wonderful day, and go Swifties.
Yes. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye.